you can say, okay, I noticed that there's a lot of jealousy coming up all the time, and I want to transmute this back to love so that I stop creating it. Could you do that in my sleep state? If you just ask for it, just put it out there to the universe, your spirit guides will bring a dream of the most intense jealousy dream, and they'll wake you up at the most intense point. It releases, and then they put you right back to sleep. Hello, I am here today with Tara Arnold. Welcome, Tara. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Yes, it's wonderful to be talking to you. So you are an intuitive artist and conscious trans-channel medium of the Ascended Master Saint Germain. And today we're going to learn about your story. So as I understand it, you were raised Catholic, so I would love to hear about your experience as a child being raised Catholic and how you got to where you are today channeling Saint Germain. Yeah, so it was a very strict Catholic upbringing. And so both my parents are really into the church, and we went to church at least once a week, if not more. And on that journey, you take on a lot of the beliefs of the Catholic Church and a lot of fears, but I always had spirit guides that would guide me and just take away those fears. So I never really bought into them. So when I was a child, the way that they would give me messages is I would hear them in my ears. If they're talking to me, it was usually like Jesus, even though at the time I wasn't sure who it was. But then as I get older, I realized that's who it was, like his energy. And so anything fearful or fear-based, my father would tell me like not to get into anything with crystals, or everything was about the devil and everything was going to be like a possession, or even if I read books that might have been not of like religion, more like pagan books or something, he would freak out. Just the devil's going to get in. And so it was kind of that upbringing. So my spirit guides would always reassure me that they would be comforting me and reassuring me that that's not how it really was. So I didn't really have any fears around doing a lot of things because I felt like they were protecting me all the time. So I could do a lot more adventurous stuff because I was like, oh, they'll take care of me. And it gave me a lot of confidence. And so as I get older, before big events, they would give me information if somebody was going to pass away or if I was going to get in an accident or something. They would forewarn me and give me comfort around it. I was very empathic, so I was super sensitive to the energy frequencies around me of everyone else. And so that's why I feel like they gave me a lot of messages just to kind of reassure me that everything was fine and not to get overwhelmed. So as a Catholic, I had to clear a lot of the Catholic guilt and all that. When I started to channel, there was a lot of fears of getting in trouble for it. When I first started channeling Ascended Master Saint Germain, then that had nothing to do with the Catholic religion. And I do channel the other Ascended Masters as well, but it was like more comfortable channeling Saint Germain at the beginning, just because I wasn't going to get in trouble in my perception for connecting with Jesus or Mother Mary or somebody, because that would be not allowed in the Catholic Church. I'm totally away from the Catholic Church, and I cleared all the beliefs that I needed to, all the fear-based beliefs, and I don't have any of that anymore, although my family is still into that, and they don't really know that I do this kind of work. They know that I do energy healing, and they know that I had told them I receive intuitive messages, but that was basically as far as I went with it because of their belief system. I left it up to the universe to tell them. So I was like, if the Ascended Masters want my parents to see my YouTube channel of me channeling, then they can show them. But as of right now, I just let the universe take care of it. And then I'm not influenced by anyone around me. So when you're creating something in your reality, it's as soon as we tell somebody, then their opinion comes in, and a lot of people want to put out our light, especially as channelers. So I tend to just do my own thing and then just put it out to the universe. And then whoever the universe wants to see it, then they'll be shown it. But yeah, so that's how I kind of went from the Catholic and got out of the Catholic belief system into channeling and working with my guides by myself and not allowing anyone else's opinion to interfere with that.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure that was just a brief summary, but it sounds like you always had this spiritual connection. So was it really difficult for you to leave your Catholic faith? Was that a difficult process, or were you not really connected to it to begin with?
Yeah, it wasn't difficult at all because it was like I was guided by spirit. So it was like if I tried to read the Bible, say, the spirit guides would say, no, who was this written by? Was it written by man or God? So everything you're reading, did they write it from their heart or their head? And so it was like things like that. I was like, oh, don't read the Bible. That's the message I'm getting. And then I go to church, and then as they're giving the sermon, my spirit guides would be telling me, like, that's all fear-based, and God isn't fear, God is love. So how could that be true? So have your own opinion on it. So it was not hard to leave it because I feel like I'm more connected on my own than I ever was through like a priest. It's something outside of us. So the spirit guides always told me, like, it's about going in and finding God within you, because every cell in your body is vibrating in God. So why would you need to go outside yourself? And how the churches are actually causing separation because they're like not one energy. It's, oh, this one's more important than that one, or this one's better than that one. It was the Protestants against the Catholics kind of thing. Right. Like there's always separation. So Jesus was like, oh, you got to do something a little different and do your own thing and break the cycle of the separation and have one energy coming in without all this judgment and fear-based belief system. So
that is so inspiring to me that you were able to stay so strong in your connection, regardless of what you were raised in. And I've been involved in the deconstruction community for a long time, and so many people have such a rough time, myself included, because my deconstruction was easy, but the fallout from that was really hard for me. And it's like I knew I wanted to just be secure and calm and strong in who I was and what I believed. But yet I dealt with so much emotion of like anger and frustration over how people were responding to me. And so what you shared is just, that's so inspiring to me to see somebody just being strong and steady in their connection and setting that example. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing. Not that there's anything wrong with people dealing with emotions, but
yes, and I did go through all the like past lifetime fears of being attacked. And so I would create things in my reality to have that. So like a neighbor he saw that I was doing energy healing. And so he was very religious and thought that I was causing his kids to get sick. Oh, no. And he called the city on me to have me shut down because the devil was gotten in and all the stuff with his church.
Oh, wow.
It was almost like he was spying on me for his church. He was an evangelist. So I had like attacks like to clear those beliefs on my journey. And then I'd move somewhere else and I had another neighbor, the same kind of thing. So it was like until I cleared it and stopped judging it myself from my past lifetimes, then because we create a reality based on where we're vibrating at. So if there's something from one of our past lifetimes, which are all happening now, because everything's now stacked moments, then we will begin to create fear-based energy to reflect that back to us. So because I get into channeling, whatever I hadn't transmuted from past lifetimes, fears around channeling and being persecuted for it, then those had to come up in my reality to show me a reflection of what I hadn't yet transmuted. So creating neighbors in this reality to show me a reflection of that, them attacking me, or friends even. Like I did lose a lot of friends that I think are crazy and stuff. So I did go through the whole like letting everyone go and just we moved to a different province, my husband and I, and just kind of left that life behind in order to start something new without worrying about other people's opinions and panicking that somebody was going to attack me. Now I just do everything online, and it's been fine. But until I cleared it and transmuted those fears within myself, then I kept creating the neighbor to attack me. Once I just would go in and just really let it come to the surface, and I could see my past lifetimes of where like I got persecuted for speaking my truth, then it easily gets transmuted with your own consciousness if you go into your past lifetimes. And then you stop creating it in your reality. So if it's still showing up in your reality that you're getting attacked for speaking your truth, it just means that you haven't yet transmuted all these old past beliefs that you might not even be aware of. So.
Okay, so I have several questions about this. And just for those watching, we'll get to the channeling. But I want to dig into this issue with the clearing the past life stuff. So you mentioned that you were creating those neighbors to attack you. Is that something that you did on a soul level before coming in? Or is it something that your subconscious was creating once you were here?
So before incarnation to planet Earth, it's like we put in our blueprint what lessons we'll have to learn and things that we'll have to, like challenges that we have to face. And so I had put in my timeline a lot of these past lifetime beliefs and persecutions. So it was like you put it in your timeline and then you create it in your reality. So it's like, for me, it's based on your belief system too. So my belief system is that I create everything in my reality. And if you take responsibility that you create everything, like the good and the bad in your perception, then you have the power to change it. But if you're thinking, oh, I manifested this money to come in, I created that. But then when your neighbor attacks you, you're saying, well, no, I didn't create that. I'm blaming my neighbor for that. Then you don't have the power to change it. So as soon as you say, okay, I created my neighbor to do that, what is the gift in that? And then you look at the gift. And if you go into a meditative state, you don't have to meditate, but you can just lay quietly and just say, what's the gift in my neighbor attacking me, calling the city, trying to shut me down, sending me texts from the Bible, telling me that I make his kids sick? What is this gift? And if you see everything as a gift, then you'll be shown how to transmute it. So I would see like all these past lifetimes where I was punished, maybe burned at the stake or persecuted for speaking my truth or channeling. And then I would just allow those emotions to come up and feel them in each chakra. So I'd just say, okay, whatever needs to come up. And then I'd visualize surrounding it with my own consciousness. And as you surround it with your own consciousness, it instantly transmutes. So for those of you who are new to past lifetimes, right now, like the universe is always showing you a reflection of where you're vibrating at and what needs to be transmuted. And they do this, the universe does this in like little subtle frequencies. So you might be out for a walk and there's a German Shepherd running out of a driveway and goes to bite you and it scares you. And then all of a sudden at the same time, you have a memory of a movie that you watched about the Holocaust or something. And you're like, oh, that's weird. And then you go home, you Google the Holocaust, and that's the type of dog they used in the concentration camps. It's, oh, okay. So the universe was showing me that fear. It was bringing it to the surface, almost having the dog bite me so that fear could be released. And as soon as it releases, it instantly transmutes. So it's like taking those subtle little things that the universe is showing you and saying, okay, something just transmuted. But if you that's if like on a conscious level. And so if you want to go deeper with it and go into a meditative state, you'll see it in your like third eye. The universe will show you a past lifetime. And with any kind of channeling, you start the vibration and then spirit joins you. So you would just visualize just maybe flying through a white tunnel or something and just say, show me a past lifetime. And then show me what I'm clearing today. Show me why I'm creating the neighbor to attack me. And then as you're in that state and you're just visualizing flying through a tunnel, then spirit will begin to show you something. They'll unfold the message in a picture in your third eye. So some people don't visualize, so you can do it other ways. You can do it by maybe you'll have it like drawing, like writing something in a book. So you just start writing. So you like consciously or start beginning to write about a past lifetime. And then it's like your spirit guides will kind of take over and keep telling the story. So if you're not a visual person, you can still do it by writing or asking to see it in a dream state. And so you might have dreams about it, or so you can do it different ways. But yeah, so we create these. And then in our past lifetimes, it was like we didn't realize that we were awakening. So now in this lifetime, we're all on this awakening journey, or most of us that are here watching channels like this, you're drawn to it because you're starting to become aware that your consciousness is expanding and that God isn't something outside of you, that you are everything. And so as you get in tune with that, then the universe just starts showing you. Now I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, the universe will show you a reflection of yourself. And yeah, you can transmute. So now we have the power. In this lifetime, we're recognizing that we have the power to change our reality. But the other lifetimes, we were so deep in the religions and we didn't know we had the power. We thought God was outside of us. So this lifetime, we're like, oh, I have the power to do that. So I'll just bring up my past lifetimes because they're all happening now anyway. So I'll bring them to this lifetime to transmute them because those past lifetimes, I didn't know I had the power to. So that's why there's so many people with constant anxiety. It's like coming up through our chakra systems, whether we want it or not, our spiritual body's consciousness is bringing all that from the past to the surface because this is the lifetime that we can transmute it. And you'll transmute it whether you're aware of it or not. Your consciousness is doing it. So your spirit is doing it.
I really appreciate you sharing with people how they can get guidance to go back into their past lives and transmute some of that stuff, because that's something I've wondered about myself. Aside from getting hypnosis done, how it would be possible to know or remember what you're supposed to be working through.
Right. And if you want, you can ask if you have something really tough in your reality. There's a good way to override that so you don't have to create it in your wake state. So sleep state is an illusion too. So wake state, like when we're awake, we're like, oh, this is real, but everything is a vibration and the universe is vibrating back to us where we are. So if you say, for example, if you have a lot of jealousy in your life and you're like, I don't know why I'm so jealous, but every time my husband leaves the house, I don't know where he is. And I just start to create this story that doesn't exist in my head that he's cheating on me. Then that's like a past lifetime trying to come up to get your attention. So instead of fearing it and pushing it down and not wanting to deal with it, then you can ask for it to be transmuted in your sleep instead of your wake state. So this is helpful for those who don't want their husband to cheat on them in real life, in your wake state or what we perceive as real life. You can say, okay, I noticed that there's a lot of jealousy coming up all the time, and I want to transmute this back to love so that I stop creating it. Could you do that in my sleep state? And then what happens is if you just ask for it and just let it go and not focus on it too much, but just put it out there to the universe, then what happens is your spirit guides will bring a dream of the most intense jealousy dream, and they'll wake you up at the most intense point. When they wake you up, it releases, and then they put you right back to sleep. And then you'll notice after that those constant irrational fears and mind racing of jealousy, of making up a story that your husband's going to cheat on you, it kind of is just gone. So it's, oh, okay. And then it won't happen in your wake state because you're like, I cleared it in my sleep state. So I don't have to create that in my wake state. And then you have a more harmonious, not so dramatic reality. You can clear a lot of stuff in your sleep, and your spirit guides will help you with that.
Wow, I'm so glad you brought that up. I one time accidentally cleared something in a dream. I had never really thought about consciously trying to do that, but it happened by accident because or maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe my guides created the dream, but it was so powerful. I had been dealing with this really overpowering fear, like panic and anxiety that had popped up in my life, and I was getting therapy for it, and I had been working on it for months. And I was trying to release and surrender and do like self-inquiry meditation to help me like center. And it was just such a slow process. And then one night when I was asleep, well, a few times when I was asleep, I started doing self-inquiry meditation in my dreams just because I was so used to doing it when I was awake. And then one time that fear came up, like the panic came up in my dream, and I remembered to surrender. And when I did it in my dream, it was like it somehow released it, and it hasn't, like it's lost the grip that it had before that.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. It's like so amazing what you can transmute and let go of in your dreams and not have to create it in your reality. But if we don't do that, then we've got to create something to show us our fears. So yeah, it's more comfortable.
Right. Okay, well, let's move on to the channeling. So first of all, could you share with us who Saint Germain is?
Yeah, so he's a like an ascended master. I'll start with what an ascended master is. So an ascended master has been on planet Earth and then ascended to awakening to the Christ consciousness. So we start off as Christ consciousness. We start off as the universe, as God, whatever you want to call it. And then it's like God separates itself from itself and then comes down to planet Earth and has this experience of being individual. So we just wear this human costume. And so on our journey, it's about transmuting the dark back to light because we're on a planet that has fear-based energy and third dimension emotions. And so on the journey for the ascended masters, they've mastered all those frequencies. So as we come down and play with the frequencies on planet Earth and transmute them back to love, it's like, how do you know what you are if you have nothing to compare it to? So, I'll create a planet where I can experience the polarity of what I am. So when you are all light and God, source, energy, then it's, well, how do I know what I am? So it's, we'll create this planet, come down, experience this frequency. So the ascended masters have come down to the planet and mastered that, though they might have had a few hundred lifetimes to do that in order to transmute everything back to light. And it just takes them home to where they started. So the end result isn't what the spirit's excited about, because the spirit's excited about the journey of transmuting and playing with these frequencies and experiencing these frequencies of dark and light. And so that's how we learn compassion. As we transmute the dark back to light, we'll learn compassion from it. So the ascended masters have mastered this. And then when they cross over, then they become guides for those on the planet that are needing help and assistance. And they understand the human emotions because they've been here. Now, angels or archangels haven't been on the planet, so they can look at it without getting caught up in all the human emotions. They're just like, here's where you're at, here's where you need to go, and here's how you get there. So, but the ascended masters understand your emotions, so they help us to transmute the dark back to light and fears back to love. And that's what I'm channeling with Saint Germain. Saint Germain was a spiritual alchemist. He had lifetimes, like several different lifetimes, but his last lifetime is in the 17th century, I believe, and he had been named Saint Germain after a town in France. And he was an alchemist and a philosopher, and he was, they called him like the Wonder Man of Europe. He seemed to live like 200 years straight. Like people just kept seeing him everywhere. And then he did a lot of spiritual alchemy, like transmuting dark back to light or fears back to love, but just like magic. He had a lifetime of Merlin. He had a lot of interesting lifetimes. Anyway, so when he crossed over, now for the Piscean age, there was like Jesus and Buddha were some of the spiritual leaders for the Piscean age, but now we've moved to the Aquarian age. So Saint Germain's showing up to a lot of light workers, and light workers, what I mean by that is people who have come to the planet to anchor a new frequency of light. And so there's like 3 groups of them. So the first group had already began awakening, and now the second group is awakening. And then the third group is triggering everybody to awaken. That's where all our triggers come from. So they haven't started awakening, and maybe they won't awaken in this lifetime. They chose to stay asleep, and that's fine too. So the people that are really asleep are helping too by triggering the people that are awakening. That's why we start to look in, is because we get tired of being abused or the narcissist attacking us. So Saint Germain's role with the Aquarian age is to assist people on this journey. So he's going to be coming to a lot more people to channel, a lot more people than me. You'll find over the next few years, there's a lot of people channeling him. He might just show up in your reality. If you feel connected to him, you'll know, because his name will show up in a book or on the internet, or you'll see his picture, or you'll see the violet flame in your third eye. If you go to meditate and you see violet color in your third eye, that's Saint Germain. And he carries the violet flame of transmutation, which transmutes all dark back to light or fears back to love. And he's full of compassion and love and forgiveness, and he teaches us that. So for the Aquarian age, he's one of the spiritual leaders. And so when I go to channel him, Buddha and Jesus come in with him as well, but he's the one that does the translating most of the time. And then they all have a female aspect as well. Like Saint Germain's female aspect is Portia, and she brings in like a pink color to transmute and work on the heart chakra. And like Jesus, his female aspect would be Mary Magdalene, and Buddha's white Tara. So like you'll notice if you're connecting with spirit guides that you might have one come in for when you need it, and then as you transmute stuff, another one might come in and that one might leave. So on your journey, you might find that, you connect with your guardian angel, and then all of a sudden it's an archangel, and then the archangel's gone and it's ascended master. It just means that you're moving into a different frequency. So they all bring in different frequencies. But ultimately, everything is one energy. So we create our spirit guides like we create our friends on planet Earth. And I think this is important for people to know, because a lot of people ask, well, how do I know who my spirit guide is? And it's, well, how do you choose your friends to play with when you're on planet Earth? You choose your spirit guides the same way. So if your intention is from your heart and your intention's for the highest good, you can connect with anyone. You can connect with any spirit guide. So if whoever you feel drawn to, I was raised Catholic, so I felt comfortable with Jesus and Mother Mary. So that's who I created as spirit guides in my reality. But you can choose who you wish to play with, for lack of a better word. So, and then there's also, you could channel the universe without an identity. So everything's one energy. So it makes it more fun for us to put identities to it. And so we call in that frequency, and it comes to us. If we're heart-centered, then there's no separation, there's no block. If we're deep in the ego, they can't connect, because they're like, well, you changed your vibration to fear or doubt. You're doubting that Jesus can connect with you. Then Jesus can't connect with you because of the vibration of doubt. Let go of your doubts and your fears and just call in whoever you feel comfortable with as a spirit guide, and they'll start to show you, but they're going to show you that they're showing up in subtle ways, like maybe through a smell or a taste or angel numbers or an animal totem. And these are all messages. And as you begin to believe that, then they can show you more. So it's all about not doubting. So Saint Germain's coming to a lot of people to help them with this and help them realize that they are consciousness and that there's nothing outside of them. So he's helping people, instead of seeking validation and love outside themselves, he's helping them to go in and find that love within themselves, so that they no longer have to find it outside of themselves. And then you never get disappointed. You are always happy because you're finding it within you. You don't have to depend on somebody else to give you that.
I really It's really interesting what you said about how I don't remember what word you used, but we have a role in attracting or creating who our spirit guides are. Because that's something that I've wondered about, because so many people will say, well, I channel Jesus, or I channel Archangel Michael, or whatever. And it seems to be like a really common thing. But that makes so much sense that they're going to connect with whoever they're comfortable with, or we are going to connect with whoever we're comfortable with.
Right. And it's like empowering you that you create your own reality. So if you're like, oh, whoever wants to show up as my spirit guide show up, you usually don't get much of a response, because the universe is saying, well, you are the universe, you are God. So what do you want to create? Start to command that. And the ego hates the word command, because then you'll create, the God within you will begin to create your own reality if you use the word command. So the ego usually makes you feel uncomfortable saying that, because it wants to run the show from the head, not have you channel from the heart. So if you just start to really be firm with your creations, like, this is what I'm creating, my reality, and that's it. Like, I'm creating spirit guides to come to me, then your spirit guides will come to you. But if you're like, okay, whoever wants to, as soon as you say, well, if you want to, you make yourself small and your vibration's really low, and their vibration's so big and vast that they can't connect with you if you're making yourself small. So they're like, know the God within you and don't doubt that, and walk in a room with that greatness, knowing that from your heart, not your head, not an ego greatness, but the greatness from your heart. Just like Jesus would walk into a room, he wouldn't doubt his greatness. Why are we? And so as soon as you don't, then they can connect. They're like, oh, good, you're the same vibration as me. Now we can connect and hang out. And I do a lot of teaching on how to channel and how to connect with your spirit guides, and I do a video course on how to consciously channel. And then I teach a one-on-one course on how to trance channel. And they really the spirit guides really empower us to create our own reality. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that Saint Germain is coming in now to help us with the age of Aquarius. So what's happening in the age of Aquarius?
Well, the Great Awakening on the planet, as you can see with all the shifts that are happening with Mother Earth and all these storms, and Mother Earth's awakening into a fifth dimension reality. But 5D Earth isn't a place we're going to. It's a state of consciousness. So some people are like, oh, well, I'm going somewhere. But it's your perception changes because your state of consciousness changes. So you could be out in the middle of chaos. Say that there's a forest fire and everybody's houses are burning around you, but yours isn't. So you can be in the middle of something in fifth dimension and be totally fine, while everybody around you is in third dimension and they're having all this chaos and suffering and struggling. So the age of Aquarius is like this great awakening. I don't know a lot about, I haven't researched it or anything, but from what I'm shown from Saint Germain, it's just like the time period in our life where we can change our reality and awaken to remembering who we are. And so the whole planet is awakening, and Mother Earth is shaking things up, and all the natural disasters and wars, it's just a reflection of what we haven't transmuted within ourselves, of the dark. And so that's all coming to the surface. And Mother Earth has chakra systems and we have chakra systems. And now it's like the past few months, like Saint Germain saying that there's going to be like a lot more alien sightings, but also alien connection, and them speaking is just like to ingrain more belief system, and that we can see the UFOs and stuff because we're actually seeing into the fourth dimension. So we're seeing into a deeper dimension. So our perception's changing. So as we awaken as a collective and expand our consciousness, we're moving into like a fifth dimension perception. So we're able to see deeper, into like different frequencies. There's a lot going on the planet right now that the Schumann resonance, that like, so when I asked Saint Germain what that was about, he's like, well, it's always been there, those geometric forms. It's just now you guys can see deeper into a fourth dimension vibration of it. It's like we're seeing more. It's like the Great Awakening. Everybody's remembering who we are as consciousness and then transmuting it. But we're always safe. Like all of us are always safe because our spirit's always safe. So just letting go of the fears and seeing things not as struggling or suffering, but as an experience, then that's what changes things. It's like letting go of the judgment that something's wrong when the Ascended Masters are like, everything's fine on the planet. It's just your perception is that it's not. Stop judging it and it can change. But if you're still judging it, it can never change. So if we're all judging the war as wrong or bad over in Russia and Ukraine, then we just keep that vibration. But if every single person on the planet right now let go of all judgment on bombing and being killed, and we let go all judgment, the war would end like instantly. It's like we're all creating it as a collective where we're vibrating at and where our fears are, and then it reflects back to us. And so as we awaken, this Aquarian age is like just bringing stuff to the surface to change.
So we're creating it like on an energy level, like on a quantum level. Is it our focus on the war, or is it more of our subconscious? I don't know what the best word would be, but the fact that violence is in our collective consciousness that's being revealed.
Yeah, you can picture it like all the souls, say there's 7 billion souls, and they're like, oh, what frequency is everybody vibrating at? And they're like, well, most of us are still carrying past lifetime anger and hate and rage from the battlefield. So that's going to be transmuted. So we're going to create that in our reality to get transmuted as it comes to the surface. All we have to do is just stop judging it, and then it can get transmuted. So if you see people as suffering, you're seeing them in sympathetic eyes. And what that is, it's you're putting out to the universe, I feel sorry for them. And so that feeling sorry, the energy you're sending out is a vibration of lack. It's a vibration of fear, and it just keeps them vibrating and suffering. But if you said, oh, I'm going to look at them in empathetic eyes, and I'm going to send love from my heart, but I'm not going to feel sorry for them. As soon as you feel sorry for someone, you take on that frequency as your own, and then you start vibrating in that low vibration. But if you stood in empathy and sent out love from your heart and didn't see them as suffering, then it would start transmuting back to love. Like they could receive that frequency you're sending out. So as a collective, a lot of people will pray, like people say, oh, prayer helps, and they'll send out prayers to the universe, and that makes changes. Well, that's if you're a light worker, or if you're someone that wants to make a change in the world. Similar to praying is just putting empathy. Say that you want to work on the war in Ukraine. You just send out love from your heart without judgment. You're not judging the bombs as something bad. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. As soon as you do that, you go into a fifth dimension, because in fifth dimension, there's no judgment. And so it gives it an equal balance of the yin and yang and brings it to a state of consciousness. And that consciousness vibration is hanging in the air or hanging in the universe to the people in the war, and they can begin to download that. So it's like whatever you transmute within yourself, or whatever your intention is that you send out, if it's not with judgment, then it can do a lot of change on the planet. So that's what Saint Germain shows me anyway. He shows me that if we could all see in empathetic eyes instead of sympathetic eyes, then the frequency is that of divine love that gets sent out. We don't take it on as our own. We don't see people suffering or struggling. Then we don't stay in that vibration of fear. It's moving to a higher level of fear. But if you're afraid to get killed, then it's just vibrating of fear. Or if you're feeling sorry for someone, it just keeps that vibration there.
Okay. So what you're saying is that we have to create the frequency that we want. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, just be whatever frequency you're sending out. Just make sure it doesn't have any fear-based energies in it, like fear, sympathy, like feeling sorry for someone. They can't heal. If you go to an energy healer, they'll say, well, I see the body as perfect. Because if they saw you as suffering, then they're giving you a vibration of suffering. Okay, I'm just getting more low vibration sent to me because this person isn't seeing me in perfection in God's eyes, sort of thing. So it's like the healer, the Reiki master, or whoever it is that you're going to, sees the whole body in perfection. And then the body says, oh, I can use that frequency to change back to love. Yeah. So it's like our perception that we put out. So that's the energy that we send out. I mean, all of us are making judgments all the time. We probably make hundreds of judgments every day. And that energy just gets sent out to the universe and it just floats around, and then people can tap into it. So if you're angry, and you know how if you get angry and then it builds up and you get more and more angry, it's like a snowball. Yeah. It's because you start channeling the ego consciousness of everybody on the planet that's angry. And so you just keep bringing more and more in. So at all times, we're all channeling. But are we channeling the ego consciousness or heart-centered consciousness, like Christ energy, universal source energy, divine love, or are we channeling the ego? And 99% of us are channeling the ego at all times. I channel the ego all the time unless I'm channeling. So we're all in ego. That's the game that we all came to play. So it's not judging that either. Like, we're in the ego game, but just changing it to, okay, I'm going to put the intention from my heart instead of my head. Then you'll start to channel in heart-centered. We just start channeling in everything that matches that frequency. Mm. So that's how anger snowballs, and then, yeah, causes chaos.
Okay, so did you say that you put your channelings on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I channel Ascended Master Saint Germain. I do energy ascension updates and other. We can tap into like the audience's questions and just channel from there in future time, because everything's happening now. And then other times I'll pick specific topics and channel about that. So it's Tara Arnold is my handle on YouTube.
Okay. And so I'll put your YouTube link in the description. You also have a website, Tara Arnold Art. Is there anything else you'd like to share about where the viewers can find you?
I do live events, and those are on my website, taraarnoldart.com, like you just said. And I also offer video courses. They're on my website. I'm on Instagram. And yeah, so come on over and see me on YouTube or Instagram. I'd love to meet you. Put a comment in the comment section and I'll chat with you.
Okay. And one final question before we go. We didn't really get into the channeled messages because we're having such a fascinating conversation, which I'm really glad we did. But could you share with us maybe like a brief summary of Saint Germain's message, or something that you think would be important for people to know?
Yeah. So I could actually tap into your audience and then just do a little channeled message from where they're vibrating at. So whoever's watching this are vibrating at a certain frequency. That's why they're attracted to your channel at that point. So what we do is I just tap into the frequencies of people watching this in real time, so in the future, and then he'll just pick a question or two and answer channel for where people are vibrating at. So he's already bringing in some stuff. So if you would like me to do that, I just go into a trance really quick.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Welcome. I am Saint Germain. We welcome you. We're showing our channel that there are many that are not ready to receive attention at this time. I am feeling insecure. I am feeling like I want to show myself my greatness. I want to step out and show who I am, but I am shy and I am not confident. And we would say that it is time to begin showing your creations. There are many of you that are on your spiritual path and you have many gifts to share with the world, but yet you are hiding in your homes. You were afraid of being attacked and you were afraid of people's judgment. We would say to begin to show yourself, begin to step out of your comfort zone. Begin to create. Do not worry about what others are thinking or feeling about you. It is none of your business, we would say, how others feel about you. It is all about how you feel about yourself. Go in and comfort your inner child and tell them that they are enough and they are more than enough. If you have a talent or gift to show to the world and you are seeking validation outside of yourself, then you will always be attacked because this will reflect back to you. Go in instead and give that love to yourself and tell yourself that you do not need anyone outside of yourself to show you your worth. Give that worth to yourself and then step out. Do not be afraid to show your greatness. We are here. You do not need Tara to connect with us. You do not need to go to another person and able to receive our messages and able to receive our guidance. We are all here for you. You are all worthy. You are us and we are you. There is no separation. Call us in. We are there. Blessings. Okay, so he's just showing, like, a lot of people that come to your channel they're really intuitive or they're really like creative in some way and they want to start showing who they are, but they're just so shy and so scared to receive that attention. So doing what we said earlier is just asking your spirit guides to help you clear that fear of receiving attention in your sleep or going into a meditative state and asking to see past lifetimes of why you can't receive attention. Like how he shows me is like when I go to give the audience attention and focus in on them, their energy pushes me away. It's, I don't know if that's safe. So just getting comfortable with kind of putting yourself out there and not worrying about people's judgments. So he's saying there's some people watching your channel that are drawn to it because of the topics that you do, and they want to maybe speak up about their journey, about their story, and they're scared to share their story and not to be afraid of that. You're going to help a lot of people if you share your story. So, yeah.
That makes so much sense because a lot of my viewers are from a deconstructed religious background. And so that seems like it would be right on to me.
Yes, they'd be helping a lot of people on the planet if they step out. It's scary. It is. But once you get over the fear, like I'm terrified of interviews, terrified. And so that's what I force myself to do because I'm like, if I'm afraid to do interviews, then my ego is blocking me from what my spirit wants because it's when we're outside our comfort zone, that's when the magic happens. That's when we can create a story that we're not just stuck in one chapter, but we can finish a book, in our life. But if you're in your comfort zone, you're in the ego and it's getting out of your comfort zone. So whatever makes you uncomfortable, that's what you're going to be great at. So if you're uncomfortable to share your story, then it's your ego keeping you uncomfortable. Like your spirit wants to share it. And so it's just allowing that uncomfortableness to come up. I would have panic attacks when I did interviews. And now today I feel really comfortable compared to 5 interviews ago when I'd be having the panic. It was all past lifetimes of fears of speaking your truth and get persecuted for it. So whatever makes you uncomfortable, that's where you're supposed to be. Like, step out and show everyone who you are. Don't be afraid of it.
Well, thank you for putting yourself out there and being willing to speak this message for people who can be encouraged by it. Thank you for everything that you've shared with us. Thank you for channeling for us. And I will put all of your links in the description so the viewers can find you.
Okay, well, thanks, Melissa. It's been an honor to be on your show. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Thank you for watching the Love Covered Life podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and comment with your thoughts and opinions, and check the description box for the links to my free community where I share lots of resources, my Pay What You Can community where we do classes and challenges together, my TikTok, Instagram, my Clips channel, and lovecoveredlife.com where I share my paintings. Thank you so much for your support.